Where do men go for help? When they want to open up and feel less judged. When they want to be around blokes who are going through the same things as they are.
Well, it's summertime and the rain is still raining.
I was feeling a bit flat.
I just said I needed help, and I remember just breaking down in this student GP office.
We're still losing people, and we're still losing a lot of men.
But if it wasn't for the main sheds, I wouldn't be here now.
It's summertime.
I'm Shivangi Pandey, and as a journalist, I wanted to find out more about Men's Shed Association and other support groups that tackle men's mental health in the UK. Welcome to Squirrel's Nest in Bridgend. It is a part of Men's Shed Association. The concept of men's sheds is simple. It is a place where men come together to build things, friendships, and a community. Today, the shed has come together to celebrate their open day after the pandemic. This is Alan Roach, one of the founders of the Squirrel's Nest.
My story started when my son died, first of all. He was in trouble with his marriage, and he just couldn't take it and he hung himself. And a couple of years after that, then my wife died with cancer. So it left me in a bit of a state, shall we say. And after I'd come out of hospital, I was in hospital for 2 to 3 weeks, I think it was. And they put me into a clinic for day ventures then. We used to do woodwork in there and odds and sods. It used to help us a bit. It never used to completely forget about it, but it used to ease it off then, shall we say.
The Nest was started with 6 members, but it has grown ever since. The place is funded by grants and selling what they make in the shed. Meet Robert Thomas. He joined the Squirrel's Nest in 2019.
I think with a case for most men, they would rather talk about something else rather than about their feelings. And I was one of those because I lost my parents, I lost my only brother and different things over the years, and I never actually spoke about them afterwards. But this time that I knew I wasn't very well, I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I knew I wasn't well. And I thought the only way that I can do this is to speak myself about it and encourage other people, or other men, to speak as well.
As per the Office of National Statistics, more than 3 out of 4 suicides are by men, and suicide is the biggest cause of death for men under 50. They are under the pressure of society's expectations, and traditional gender roles have an impact on why men are less likely to discuss or seek help for their mental health problems. In order to understand more about support groups and men's mental health, I spoke to Dr. Alex Vickery, who is a senior research associate from the University of Bristol. Dr. Alex has research expertise in men's mental health, support and adult social care service use.
Men use support groups to discuss mental health difficulties when they kind of don't want more formal professional support, or there might be long waiting lists for the NHS services, and they find that support groups are a really informal way to not only meet people but kind of be around other people who experience similar situations to them, and that they can just be themselves and there's no pressure to open up, but then there's the chance to open up if they want to. And a lot of men find it really beneficial to just be around other people who've been in that experience, who've kind of understand what they're feeling, and also to talk to people who may not be so close to them, like family and friends, as well as talk to people who may not be an expert or a professional, like a GP or a mental health professional.
I am now in Taftswell to interview Robert Vicentina in his garden. Robert is the project manager for Men's Shed Cymru. During his free time, he enjoys gardening.
A story perhaps to tell is of last year during lockdown. Last summer, I thought I was fine, like everyone else, working from home, but, a lot of that time was on my own in the house. And I suppose there came a point, in July last year, where I realised actually it was getting to me, and I was feeling a bit flat, low mood, just not great.
I asked Robert, why did the men pick the name Squirrel's Nest for the shed?
It's a name they chose themselves. They all met at a mental health day recovery service, so they decided that they were all nuts, and you'd probably find nuts in a squirrel's nest.
After talking to the Men's Shed Association, I am now going to Bristol to meet another support group. That's Ben Atkins, the founder of Talk Club.
So I started Talk Club because we made a film. So we made a film called Steve, which was sparked by the suicide of my childhood best friend, a bloke called Steve Yates. And what I found was, I spent a year making that, and what I found was there was lots of amazing people doing amazing things, but there seemed to be almost a gap in the market for looking at things that were really, really upstream, looking at sort of the idea of vulnerability for men. And so that's what we've done. We've created a community where men can be vulnerable and can sort of just talk about their issues and get everything off their chest before they become mentally unwell, hopefully before sort of suicide kicks in. And lots of people from coming across from
I
the
asked
Philippines
Ben what the situation of men's mental health in the UK is like.
The usual response is go to your doctor. GPs are overwhelmed, and in my opinion, it's just unfortunately, and I think our National Health Service is the best in the world, I think undertrained. And I think the GPs that I know say that stuff's coming through their door, 60% mental health related. Their go-tos are antidepressants, or pushing them to charities like ours, and that's not a sustainable solution.
Patrick Sullivan runs Southwell Group in Bristol for the Talk Club. Every Monday he sets up chairs and waits for men to show up.
I obviously had links to men's mental health. I didn't quite see it that way from the start. So a school friend of mine died of suicide when I was 16, and then in my second year of university there were about 11 suicides in the space of about 18 months at the University of Bristol. So while I wasn't close with any of them, I think the issue kind of came up again, and so when I started doing it, I realised that I had these sort of connections to male suicide in my life, and that I myself had gone through particularly stress, and so it was nice to be involved with something that was weekly, that was regular, that allowed me to stay connected with that part of life, I guess.
Oh, James, you can tell me. I've not been for a few weeks.
Today 2 men have showed up to the session, and it's the quality over the quantity that makes this club important.
And then I still run a sponsor group, but I'll just write up anyway. Okay. So most regular days, yeah.
Is there any group that takes a preventative approach? Tom Watson is the co-founder of Talk Club, who organises a talk and run session every Monday in North Bristol. I had to put on my running shoes to find out more.
There's just something therapeutic about just putting the trainers on. It's such a low entry level. The bar's quite low, and pick a pace. It doesn't have to be record breaking, and it's just quite therapeutic. And to be able to share that with other men and the benefits of running, it's quite a powerful outlet. It's more of like, because we're very much in the preventative sort of space, it's more of a venting and what's going on, and you know, we're as much a listening group as a talking group. So we listen, we try not to prescribe and advise, but we listen. And most men, they just want to be heard, and that is enough for them to just share what's going on, try and articulate a number, and then once we go around the circle and do that, we have a quick warm-up, we do a light conversational 5k run, we come back, and then we check out. So we have 2 questions that we ask the guys. Is one thing that you're grateful for. So it's you know, practicing gratitude we know is good for us. You know, trying to be appreciative of what we have rather than what we haven't got. So everyone shares that, and then we also ask, as part of that checkout, what are you going to do for your mental fitness that week. So we very much promote this idea of mental fitness, of like, what are you planning to do? You know, it's a bit like going to the gym, but for your mind. Like, what do you know is good for you? And it's almost like that commitment to the group. And we have all sorts of things people want to do, from, you know, journaling to calling a parent, or so it's a kind of like things we know that's good for us. And then we check out, you know, how do you feel now out of 10 after that round, after that run? And we find that pretty consistently most men feel better for having done it than have done it. I'll check out.
Yeah. I appreciate it when I get home. And I usually do a lot of the cooking, I'd say, but this is an absolute winner.
I feel like if we didn't have such high suicide rates and men suffering, you know, our work wouldn't be needed as much. You know, we wouldn't need to do this maybe every week. And I just hope that, you know, I'd rather have a mate cry on my shoulder than go to his funeral, you know?